What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Metalcore Nerds. I am the host, Sean Mott, and today I have with me Chris from the Geek Peak Pod. What is up, man? How are you doing?
Yo, what up, Sean? It is good to be joining forces, man. We've become recent Twitter podcasting friends, and
Yes.
I was liking all the stuff you were putting out, and then you asked me on your show, and I was like, hell yeah, come on. That sounds dope.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, actually, the last few episodes besides last week, I did a big wrestling. I'm trying to do monthly wrestling episode. But before that, I've been doing everything solo because scheduling with people has been a pain in the ass. And as you know,
It'd be like that.
It do be like that. That is so accurate. And as you know, you found my show from listening to the Johnny Crowder from Prison episode. Mostly it's me joining with other people in the music world, but I've been kind of doing this new sense there's actually stuff to talk about all the time now. Rather than in pandemic, it was like, hey, let's find something to talk about that's pop culture or metalcore. We don't need to worry about that anymore. There's so much shit happening. There's always something to talk about. It's easy.
Thank God, man. That hiatus of new stuff was killing me. Like, there was a period of time where everyone in the world watched Tiger King, and they were happy with it. Like, come on.
That was entertaining. I'm not gonna lie.
I did like Tiger King. I'm not hating on it. I'm gonna rewatch it in like 6 months. So, you know, do as I say, not as I do, so to speak.
Very, very fair. So it's been I was supposed to do like a big Suicide Squad panel scheduling. I didn't even talk about Suicide Squad. I mean, most people think I know that I loved the movie. It was great. I think it's my number like 2 or 3 of the year so far. There's probably too many good movies about to come out by the end of the year, which is crazy to think about because there's only a few months left. So I'm looking at my top 10 now, and I'm like, man, I was like, almost all of these could be wiped out by the end of the year. Maybe. We'll see. But it's possible.
Dude, the Suicide Squad, you hit the nail on the head. That's got to be the most fun movie I've seen in theaters all year. It was a blast.
An absolute.
Like, a lot of people are really high on Shang-Chi. I really enjoyed that, but for me, the Suicide Squad just hit the right notes. It felt like a Quentin Tarantino movie to me.
It did. Yes,
and I love some Tarantino. So.
Oh, me too. It definitely had Tarantino vibes for sure. But I mean, James Gunn is a genius. I will say
he's a beast.
Shang-Chi takes the cake from me right now. It's my number 1. That movie just blew me away. I don't even know how to describe it.
Dude, the third act, I did not see that coming.
No. I listen to a lot of first reactions. There's a lot of podcasts I listen to. It's the reason I started the podcast, And they were so high. And usually I take them and kind of just go, oh, okay, cool. And I never let it temper my expectations. But the reactions were so high for this movie, it did temper my expectations. And my expectations were like sky high. And the movie completely blew it out of the water, which is surprising and hard to do. I think the only movie that's ever done that is maybe Endgame. Because a lot of people were so high on Endgame, and that movie delivered more than I ever could have imagined. So...
I didn't really know what to expect with Shang-Chi. I was, I'm not a huge comic book reader, so going into it, I was like, okay, this looks cool, and I really liked the main actors, Simu Liu.
Yep.
Okay. I liked him because I had watched Kim's Convenience.
Oh,
and
okay.
So he's great in that. He's hilarious. And then he absolutely killed it. All the acting was great. The film was awesome. I just something about Suicide Squad for me, man. I was crying because of Peacekeeper, or Peacemaker, or whatever.
John fucking Cena. That's all I gotta say. That was the best role I've ever seen him in, for sure.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
And it's funny because I watched another John Cena movie. It came out right after on Hulu called Vacation Friends or something like that, and I swear I was the only person who didn't like that movie. At least I saw who watched it.
You didn't like it? I haven't seen it yet. It's on my queue, actually.
Everyone's like, man, it's really funny. And I'm like, I felt like it tried to be funny. And were there funny parts? Yeah. But it's mostly just like a weird movie trying to be funny the whole time that, to me, never landed. And there's like a running joke. I have a big Facebook group for the podcast. And the running joke is I like everything. Because most of the time I do like everything, but Sam and I watched that movie and we're like, that was bad. And I was like, dude, that was not good. And I love John Cena. I think he's hilarious. And I can't remember the other names, the other actor. He was the best friend of Ryan Reynolds in Free Guy. But he's the other main character. And it was just like, I don't know. It was just, there was something that didn't click for me. It was just like them trying to one-up each other with dick jokes the whole time. And dick jokes are funny, but it just, I don't know.
You can't ride just dick jokes though.
No, it just didn't get there for me. I don't know. But
all right, I'm gonna report back in once I've seen it. We'll have a council on it.
Cool, perfect. I would like to hear someone else's perspective, and I don't like to shit on. That's like the big thing with me too, because obviously people aren't gonna like the same thing that everyone likes. And my biggest issue with that is that when you try to prove to someone that something is bad when it's something that someone likes, that's like my biggest pet peeve. Of course, people are going to like things different ways or see things different ways, but when people are like, no, this is why it's bad. And it's just like, no, just let me like the fucking movie. Like, who cares? Like, stop.
The only thing that me and my co-hosts on the Geek Peak do that for, and hopefully I'm not striking a chord with you and your listeners here too heavy, but The Last Jedi, we're big Star Wars fans, and we hated that film. So we do work in a little bit of hate on our show.
I love that movie, but that's a conversation that could be a whole 5-hour podcast. So we won't go down that road.
Yes, let's stay out of that rabbit hole.
Me and my best friend have the same exact thing. He hates that movie. I love that movie, and we're both like avid Star Wars fans. So it's like it's a very
so
touchy subject. It might be the most controversial pop culture thing of all time. Like honestly, yes. it might be.
It will be remembered like 10 years down the line. People will still be arguing about whether or not it's good or bad.
Yes, they definitely will. That's for damn sure. So, if you're new to Metalcore nerds, if you're coming over from the Geek Peak Summit, I kind of want to call this episode Geek Peak Nerds. I think it's a good title. You know,
that sounds good.
If you're new to here, the best thing you can do to support the podcast is anything that's free. Follow us on social media. Go to the website, metalcorners.com. You can find all our links there. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a little review. That stuff helps more than anything, honestly. And if you do want to help monetarily, you can subscribe to our Twitch channel. The All Elite Nerd Show will be live there once a month, and every live movie panel review will be live there as well. We might be doing some more stuff there, but probably not. I don't know. We'll see, I guess. I'm a busy guy. It's hard for me to do multiple things in a week. You know, everyone has lives. But you can do that, or also on metalcorners.com. We have a bunch of merch. We have the new Metalcore Mephisto shirt that should be printed and shipped out in the next couple of weeks, which is very exciting. It's me drawing.
I love that shirt. I'm gonna have to cop one.
Please do. It's a prized possession of mine. My friend Billy Barber, who's an incredible artist, I came to the idea with him. The idea actually spawned from the Facebook group. And if you want to join the Facebook group, there'll be links down below for you to join that, or the Discord. The Discord's the only spot where we can talk about spoilers. There's some spoiler channels for all the new stuff coming out. There's spoiler rules in the Facebook group just because, you know, everyone can't watch everything in due time. So that's why I created the Discord for spoiler talk like that, so no one gets spoiled. There's different channels so you can navigate it, and no one gets ruined with that stuff. So if you want to do that, that's awesome. Actually, the first thing I wanted to talk about is actually some metalcore or some music, and it's a new segment to the show. I actually started a few months ago, but I've been meaning to integrate this in the show before I revealed it. But I started a Spotify playlist called the Metalcore Pull List, and it's pretty much everything I listen to. Pretty much, I add to it every time I hear something new that I like. But I wanted to talk about some of the new music I just added on because a ton of new music came out yesterday and this week. And then Chris is also going to talk about what he's been listening to as well. Just want to add some more metalcore into the metalcore nerds. So this week I added Spirit Box actually dropped their new album, Eternal Blue. The title track is actually probably my favorite besides the singles. So that's a really good one. Dying Wish released a new single called Severing the Senses, which is awesome. They're pretty much, if you haven't listened to Dying Wish, they're like a mix of Killswitch and Poison the Well. Very awesome. Their new album is dropping in a few weeks. Bring Me the Horizon dropped a new single, Die For You, which is fucking insanely catchy and incredible.
Dude, yes. Thank you. I showed a friend of mine. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I showed a friend
of
of mine that song, and he's like, it's a little poppy for me. He's like stuck in the old Bring the Horizons.
Where's he been?
Sempiternal. I know. I'm like, yo, this song slaps, and the breakdown at the end is awesome.
And the video looks like it's a Blade movie.
Oh, I haven't seen the video.
The video's check that out. Wild, dude. It looks like a mini movie. It's sick. Definitely watch the video. It's awesome. A lot of people were kind of off-put, and they're like, I don't know if it fits the music. And I was like, I didn't feel weird watching it while listening to the music, so I would say it fits, even though it's not traditional. But I don't know. People get weird with that stuff, I think. I think it's more of like a things people are normal to, but maybe it's because I'm so used to movies and like comic book movies. There is one thing before I get back to the rest of the pull list. I watched the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies in the past 12 hours or 24 hours. And I will say, the second movie, every time Electro comes and they try to integrate like techno dubstep, every time he came on, I was like, this is a little much.
Yeah. I was hyped when that movie came out because I'm a big fan of Skrillex. I like his roots in kind of like emo, like metalcore. I guess from first last, but
they're gonna scream.
Yeah, on I like where he comes from, and I think he has a cool spin on electronic music. But then like that movie with, you're totally right, like over the top with just like random EDM all the time.
Like there's the part where they're in the plant and he's like hitting off musical notes, and then Andrew Garfield says, I hate this song. I was like, man, really? There's so much in those movies that are good. They're just like, I feel like they're just not finished. Like, I don't know. There's something that makes them so incomplete. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. The first one is leaps and bounds better than the second, in my opinion.
The second just has too much going on. It's like the Spider-Man 3 problem. There's just too much going on. There's good stuff in the movies. There's just far too much going on. And that's the problem.
Gwen passes in part 2, right? She dies.
Yeah, and I will say
that's
brutal. And that noise made me gasp out loud. And I know it. I knew it's coming. I'm like, it's coming. It's happening. And the noise happened. I'm like, like it's that noise is brutal, man. Like
the Amazing Spider-Man 2 walked so Hereditary could run.
Yes. I also will say the awkwardness of Garfield is perfect. I think Tom Holland might have taken from it and made it just better. To me, Tom Holland is the perfect Spider-Man Peter Parker. I don't care. I know a lot of people say Toby, a lot of people say Andrew. I just think Tom Holland's the perfect Spider-Man. That's just my opinion. But Garfield is almost there. It's just when he's being a dick or too cocky, I hate it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't fit with the rest of his personality. It just feels like the director or the screenwriter or whoever was pushing him in 2 different directions, and he had to fight with both of them. That's what it felt like to me. But again,
my two co-hosts are always like, this guy's getting picked on in high school. Andrew freaking Garfield is getting picked on in high school. Seriously, like this guy's like the coolest person I've ever met.
Yeah, like it's like it's a pretty fucking dude. I mean, obviously Tom Holland's a good looking guy too, but you can tell he's like an awkward nerd. So it makes sense, you know? And he doesn't fight back and have this weird cocky arrogance like Andrew Garfield had, or Tobey Maguire had. I mean, Tobey Maguire looked like a 30-year-old in high school. So that's a whole different story. But enough Spider-Man, I guess. But back to the rest of the pull list. I have Real Friends. They just dropped a new EP, Tornado 2, which is awesome. It's their first full release with their new singer, which I think he's actually really, really good. Sentinels is band from New Jersey. They're on Sharp Tone. Dropped a new single, Inertia. They have a new record coming out, I believe, next month. And then the Almighty Every Time I Die released another new single off their album Radical called Planet Shit, which is dropping very soon as well. And that band can do no fucking wrong. I just saw them a few weeks ago, and it was awesome.
Oh, I love Every Time I Die, and I'm glad that you mentioned one of their new singles, because I don't think I've heard the newest one, but I heard the one before it, and it was top tier. It's just great. They never get old.
Nope, that band is perfect. I've seen them probably close to 20 times in my life because I live in upstate New York, and they never get old. This is like one of the bands I could see I could see them play every day probably, and I would not get bored of it.
Yeah, they're definitely a band. As I've gotten older, I've only enjoyed them more and more. And I think the last time I caught them was at the last Warped Tour in Jacksonville.
Yes.
And it got rowdy. It got real rowdy.
Yeah, I was watching them on the stage at Buffalo on the last Warped Tour, or the last tour Warped Tour. I actually went to the last date of Warped Tour ever, too, in California, which was cool.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
end of an era, man.
Yeah, it was weird. I didn't go to the New Jersey one. I went to the California one. I actually, my wife and I went out to LA for the Ghost Inside comeback show, and we saw one of the Have Heart reunion shows, and that's when I was an agent. So I stayed the week in LA to take meetings and stuff, and then I rode up to Northern California with my other friend who was an agent, and we went to the last 2 days of Warped Tour or whatever.
That's a hell of a week.
It was a wild week, man. It was long, but it was worth it. It was nice. And as we know, you more than me, humidity is a motherfucker, and California has no humidity. And it was like maybe 80 or 90, and people were like, man, you took a bad week to come here. And I'm like, I was wearing pants, dude. I was like, nah, this is sick. I was like, there's no humidity here. I was like, this is awesome. I was like, I'll take this any day. It's like, fuck that shit.
Yeah. Honestly, humidity. So I'm from Florida, for those of you who don't know, and we got a lot of humidity down here. We're happy to share down in Sunshine State.
Well, I'm like when I usually vacation a few times a year, and it's always to Disney, so I'm well aware of the Florida heat. Because I spent
it's a real thing.
a week walking.
My AC went out in my car recently, so that's been something.
Now you know it's like to be. Now you know it's like to be in a touring band, because almost every fan you've ever been in never has AC. So it's the same.
Yes.
I feel you.
Yeah. I'm picking up where I left off in high school, because I played music in a metal band in high school for a little bit, and so. But okay, so I am going to need you to send me the link to your pull list, because I need to listen to all of this stuff on one of this playlist.
I will. I'll send it to you.
And I've got, since you brought Every Time I Die up, I have to bring up the band that I dropped in our group chat.
Oh, yes.
Our private chat. So this is a band, they've broken up, but they're from my hometown in Daytona Beach, Florida. Their name is Von Wolf. That's VONWOLFE. And you can only find this album on Bandcamp, but it is a jam. It's worth buying. It's where, like, I listen to this regularly. It goes so hard. It's Southern rock and roll, hardcore. It just hits different. Scumbag of Donuts is sick. One of the craziest songs I've ever seen live. So, they're the kind of band. They were smaller. They were playing like local VFWs and things like that, and it was like a riot inside.
Hell yeah!
Like some Chariot vibes, that kind of thing. So
that rules.
Definitely rep them. Unfortunately, they are broken up, but the vocalist from that band is in another band called Dog. Yeah,
Dog.
D.O.G. It's on Spotify. They are much heavier. They don't have that Southern influence. It's more of just like straight breakdowns. But them and the vocalist's name is Dom from Von Wolf. He and another guy from our hometown, Hunter, he's involved in a bunch of projects. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Silence by chance? They're disgustingly heavy. They're from Florida. Well, anyways, he plays. I
feel like there was another Silence. Maybe it's the one I'm thinking of, because there was a Silence, I thought, from like the Midwest. But maybe I'm thinking of
this one. I'm trying to think, like, he's in another band as well, because he just got signed to the same label that oh my gosh, I'm gonna like blank on every name right now. 1 second. Their album is called Genesis. It's really heavy. I'm not doing myself like favors right now. 1 second. Oh my goodness. He just got signed to the same label that Northlane's on.
Oh.
I forget what the label is called, but and I don't even remember what band he's on. But anyways, his side project is called Dog, and that shit goes hard. I would definitely check that out if you're a fan of just like super heavy vocals and heavy ass breakdowns, some blast beats mixed in here and there. It's very good.
Okay.
The other band that I've been jamming, since we're kind of on a southern rock kind of kick, is I just recently discovered Polaris. I know that's like not anything, they've been around for a little bit, but that song Hypermania, it makes me want to kick a human being through a brick wall. Like, that song rips, man. And the music video is awesome. I love that like style of where they like animate. I mean, Bring Me the Horizon did it a while back, I think, for Brave for Plagues, but where they kind of like draw over the actual film footage.
Yep.
I love that style. I think it's so cool. So it's so yeah, check out Polaris. Also Vagabond and Landmine are also bangers. And that's the metal that I've been jamming recently.
Hell yeah.
I sent that Lorna Shore song.
Yes.
And
shout out to Lorna Shore.
I just have to say that vocalist, he's got to be having the time of his life, man. Because that just sound, the end of that song,
nuts.
What is it? Hellfire, I think.
Yeah.
Into Hellfire or something.
Into the Hellfire, I think. Yeah.
Dude, the last minute of that, like, I just want to be a fly on the wall when they were tracking that. It's like, okay, no, that wasn't good enough. Take it again.
Yeah. He used to be in this band, I believe, called Awakened Providence, which was a heavier band. And then when Lorna, well, it's funny because this is Lorna's.
It's heavier than Lorna Shore?
Oh, no. I was just saying they're just like a heavy band, different kind of heavy. They're not like the full like deathcore, like techie death kind of stuff that Lorna is. But it's funny because I think this is Lorna's third singer, because their first singer left to join Chelsea Grin, which he's still in, Tom.
Oh, okay.
And then the second one had some like he was a piece of shit basically, so they kicked him out. And then they got this guy. But I'm glad it's working out for them because Austin, the drummer, is a fucking amazing dude, and they're becoming like the biggest deathcore band on the planet. They deserve every second of it. So good for them.
That band is very tight, and I'm a big, because I did vocals when I was in the metal band that I played in, and so like I always sight in on that. Like I always hone in. Don't get me wrong, the guitar work and the drums are super important, but for me, it's always the vocals that set a band apart.
Yep.
And that guy's getting after it right now. The man eats.
that dude is a fucking animal, a force. And
yes,
like I said, there's some other honorable mentions. At the Plot and You dropped a new album, which I listened to most of it this morning. It's also very, very good. There's another band I wanted to bring up. I'm sure I'll bring it up next week or something. But definitely go check out the new Plot and You. If you like their last few albums, you'll dig this one too. It's a good continuation. They just keep getting better and better. So that's it for the music side of this. So I wanted to watch, before we get into some of the pop culture news or pop culture topics that we have on the docket today, I want to ask you, what have you been watching lately? I mean, we talked about how I just watched the 2 Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. There's a lot of other things I'm watching too, but what have you been into lately?
So I've been keeping up with Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus.
Yes.
Fantastic. Top tier show. I mean, if you want to feel good about your life, like if you just want something wholesome, that show is the shit.
Can I ask you a question? Did you watch this week's?
Yeah. When did it drop? I don't think I saw the most recent one yet.
Oh, okay. It came out yesterday.
Oh no, I haven't caught it yet. But God, I love it. I'm
gonna say, not a fan. This week's episode's been very controversial on the internet, I will say.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's called Coach Beard's Night Out or something along those lines. And
oh no! After the loss.
Yeah, and it's weird, and not in a good way.
Oh no!
It's
Coach Beard.
It has its moments, I will say. I did see some people posting today. My friend Joey from the Banner, he's been on the show multiple times. He said it was his favorite Ted Lasso episode ever, and I was like, it is by far my least favorite. And And before that, I couldn't even pick a least favorite because all the other ones I've loved to a certain degree, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like Ted Lasso. It feels like a very weird disconnect from the season to me personally. And there's some moments in it, but it really just feels like this weird 45-minute acid trip of an episode that does not belong in the series. But I'll wait to see what you think about it. But it's
I'm definitely going to be coming back with some input on that because I'll probably watch that tonight or tomorrow. But what did you think about the Christmas episode? Because I adored that one.
I thought it was awesome. A lot of people were like, "This is the best episode ever." I did not agree with that personally, but I thought it was.
I didn't think it was the best episode ever.
Because like a lot of people were like, "Oh, this episode's the best," and I was like, "It's good." I don't think it's the best. I thought last week's episode might have been one of my favorites of last episodes. That one hit hard. The one where they got the big loss, the thing with his dad, Jamie and his dad, and then Ted went out and made the phone call, and then revealed the thing about his dad. I was like, that was like when Roy came over and hugged Jamie, and then Ted made the phone call to the doctor, the therapist. I was like, holy fuck! I was running in the gym on the elliptical, and I'm like, I'm gonna start crying in the middle of the gym. This is fucked up.
Yep. Dude, that scene with Jamie's dad and Roy, like, that was. So I mean, they do such a good job of mixing great drama in with that show, and it's super wholesome, and it's got really good comedy as well, but it's not like too over the top.
No.
I really like the episode too where Roy and Keely? Is that her name?
Yeah, Keely.
Yeah. When they were having, when she's like, "You're literally driving me crazy because you're around me all the time."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I love that." I just thought that was like a great little dynamic. That was a fun one too. But yeah, so I've been watching Ted Lasso.
Great choice.
Beyond that, that by itself is enough for you to get an Apple TV Plus
easily
subscription or whatever.
Easily,
like it's one of the best shows on TV in my opinion. Besides that, I'm really late to this, but I've been watching New Girl.
Okay.
I'm on like season 5 now, and I just got to the point where, spoilers, Schmidt and Cece finally freaking end up together, and I was like, let's go! Let's fucking go! I'm a hopeless romantic at heart, and that show, like pretty much every episode, I'm cracking up at least once.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of thought it would be like a little cheesy, like very like drama, like girly rom-com based, but like the more I watch it, the more I love it. I mean, I can't help it. I love it. So I'm gonna finish that.
It's a very good show.
They have so many, and they have so many cameos of like very famous actors from other things. Like they just recently had Megan Fox on. I want to say they had like, it looks exactly like David Dashmian from the Suicide Squad, Polka Dot Man.
Oh, Dastmalchian? David Dastmalchian.
Dastmalchian, yeah. I'm pretty sure he was just on it. I need to like double check that. But,
that dude is in everything, so it's not surprising. He's literally in everything.
He just hit gold with the Suicide Squad. Now he's an icon,
as he should be. He's a superhero. In my
Yes, agreed. What a fitting end for him. He finally got what he chased the entire time.
That would. I was like, oh shit, when that happened. Fuck.
Not him. Not like this.
And now it's kind of like, well, there it is.
Let's see. So besides New Girl, because I've been binging the hell out of that. Let's see. I've been I recently, myself, Josh from the Poor Nerds, By Nerds podcast, and our other friend Miles from the Disc Dump, we have started a new horror movie podcast called High on Horror.
Yes.
So we've been watching horror flicks leading up to those episodes releasing at the end of September. And I just watched The Blob from 1988 for the first time. Great movie. Great freaking movie. If you've not revisited that in a minute, it is a romp. It's a great time. It's so 80s. Like it's painfully 80s. I love it. Like there's a guy riding a motorcycle through the sewers, like he's smoking ciggies, At one point he's driving his motorcycle with a beer in one hand and a cigarette in his mouth. And I'm like, this guy is literally the most 80s you can be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And it's drama from Entourage. Carnage. I forget the actor's actual name, but
yeah.
We kept calling him. I said he looked like Kevin Bacon, and then we were calling him knockoff Kevin Bacon. Then we were calling him Turkey Bacon.
Ooh, Turkey Bacon, nice. That's
nice. So that one stuck. But outside of that, I caught *Malignant* too from James Wan.
I watched that last weekend as well.
That's a crazy movie, man.
Yeah. Honestly, that movie kind of suffered the same thing as Amazing Spider-Man. I felt like
too much going on.
Not too much going on, mostly the tonal stuff. Because it starts off, the opening scene is very campy, and I was like, oh, okay, is it trying to be one of those things where it's like aware that it's campy in a way?
Yeah.
But then it starts playing out, and you're like, no, everything's like very serious. Like, especially the first scene after with the main character and her boyfriend. You're like, okay, This is like very serious. Like, what the fuck was up with that? And the way they kind of balanced that was my big qualm with it, is that the tone was very weird. But once it gets to I'm not going to reveal anything just in case people haven't watched it yet, but there is a quote unquote twist in the climax. And once that happens and that kicks into gear, that's like the height of the movie. And that movie, that part was fucking dope. I was like, fuck yeah, this is sick. Yeah, I was all for that, dude.
The third act goes from like a traditional, like super brutal horror film to like potentially with supernatural implications to an action horror film.
Yes.
It's like John Wick.
Yeah, like Matrix, John Wick, wacky shit, dude. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's it. Yeah, I thought it was. Yeah, I didn't love it. I liked it. Mostly because I couldn't get past the weird, like, because I was like confused watching half of it. You know, I was like, what are they trying to do here? But it was fun. I definitely don't regret watching it. That's for sure.
It's not one, like, if I could give a piece of advice for people out there who are going to go watch it, like, don't go into it expecting something super serious, and you will not be disappointed. If you can, like, just kind of suspend disbelief and be like, this is going to be a fun, ridiculous horror movie.
Yeah.
It does have some good not scares, but like some really good gore, which I'm.
Oh yeah. So, because I saw someone post about the CGI blood, and I think there was one time, but I'm not a super big CGI snob either. Because like a lot of people kind of like shit on the end of Shang-Chi for the CGI, and I was like, fuck off, like just stop.
I thought it was sick.
Yeah, me too.
Just putting that out there.
Me too. I thought it was incredible. But there was like one CGI blood spot where I was like, okay, that looked a little dumb. They could have done a practical and it would have looked cooler. And that was one. And I was looking for it because someone in the kitchen. I think so, because it hits the camera or something, so it's like super super obvious. But it kind of, again, it added to the camp part of it, but not really to the serious part of it. But it was a fun movie. I also watched that Reminiscence movie with Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson.
How was that?
Not that great.
It didn't look that great. It looked like a shittier version of Inception. And I was like, I think I'm going to pass on this.
Kind of, yes. It is kind of like that. The premise is really cool. It has to do with memories. So the Inception thing is definitely there. And there are some cool parts to it. But really, the plot of the movie, nothing happens. Like, it's done and you're like, okay, cool. Because I was talking to one of my friends, Griffith, who's been on the show. He's this man, Fox Leak. And he posts a lot of movie reviews and stuff, and he posted about that movie, and I was like, the premise was there, because he said something about it missing something. I was like, yeah, the premise is definitely there. It just, I was like, nothing happens. You know, it just kind of just is there. The end is kind of like sad and like satisfying in a way, I guess, but the journey there is just nothing. So.
Yeah, I mean, the concept seemed intriguing. It's like the whole world is like falling apart because of climate change, and like everybody who's still alive basically is trying to escape real life by like delving into the memories of the past and like reliving that. And that's where a lot of people end up basically like living out their whole lives. Felt a little bit like The Matrix or Ready Player One in that sense. But I don't know. Like, the marketing didn't do it any favors, and now that you're saying not a lot happened in the film, like, that makes sense because the marketing couldn't really show that because there wasn't a whole lot to go with.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good examples of marketing showing very little. Like, we're gonna go back to Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi gave away nothing of the third act, and then you're like, oh fuck, when that happened, because Marvel in the past, I think since probably pre-Endgame, maybe even a little before that, they could maybe give a little bit too much away. Like BVS, they gave away the whole fucking plot in the trailer. Even Mortal Kombat that came out, I wish I didn't watch the trailers because they gave away a lot of the cool fucking kills. It didn't take away totally from because that movie was just fun. It wasn't like a good movie. per se, but it was fun, and they knew what they were doing. They gave you exactly what you wanted. You wanted a silly but brutal Mortal Kombat movie. That's what it gave you. But even those trailers, I was like, they should have not showed half of that shit. They should have just, but it is what it is. They, like, I've talked about this a bunch of times on the podcast, but people like us that are obsessed with this stuff, that go over all the movie news and everything like that, we live in this like bubble, this nerd bubble. Mm-hmm. And it's not the majority of people. We're a very minority group of people who consume movies. So when people are like, like the Kang stuff in Loki or Mephisto stuff, people are like, what are you talking about? They're like, I don't even, they get surprised when Evan Peters shows up in Quicksilver, which even that, to me, I was like, oh shit, but there was kind of already rumors that Evan Peters was cast in the show. We just didn't know what he was going to be. And when Sylvie ended up being a girl variant of Loki, my wife was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, I already knew, but it's like, she's the prime example. She doesn't pay attention. She loves this stuff, but she doesn't pay attention to this stuff like I do. So she's generally surprised by a lot of stuff. So that's what I love about like Marvel and other things too. But they do a good job of kind of pleasing the whole spectrum. They please the big time fans with huge reveals that no one is ever expecting. And then there's also bigger surprises for people who don't pay attention to this shit and overanalyze everything like we do. And that's the thing people in this bubble sometimes don't think about. And they're like, why would they show that? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they're for the people who are paying for more of these movies than we are. Like, we're already going. It doesn't matter. We don't even need to watch trailers. We're going. Are we going to watch trailers? Yes, we're going to watch the fucking trailers. Because we're going to try and dissect them and overanalyze them and try and see if we can find something that's going to, give us some clarification to what the movie could bring us. But, other people want to watch it, and that's going to get them to buy the ticket. They already have our fucking. They don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, like my co-host on the Geek Peak, Trent, he is like adamantly opposed to watching anything outside of like the opening teaser trailers for movies because he's like, they always spoil too much. And me personally, I like, like trying to figure it out before it comes out. I try to stay off like Reddit and YouTube, for example, because I can't like, Once Endgame's premise of the time heist got spoiled for me before the movie came out, I was like, damn it. Like, once I'm watching it, I was like, son of a bitch.
I didn't even know that. And I listened to podcasts and I watched New Rockstars, and they were like, it's so funny because New Rockstars, they're like the biggest prediction breakdown, channels. They're at least one of them. And I remember them trying to predict Infinity War and Endgame, and they're like, I don't know what's going to happen. They make their reasonings and stuff, but I'm sure you go watch back now and it's nothing to what happened. And like, that's why they're good at what they do, because they show you something and they give you the exact opposite. They've been doing a great job with the TV shows to not show you shit. They're just like, okay, yeah, Loki's going to be in this show and it's about the TVA, and that's all we knew. And then it ended up becoming what it was, which pretty much started the whole multiverse saga, basically.
Have you heard the theory of the overlap of the final scene of the finale of Loki with WandaVision when she becomes the Scarlet Witch?
Yes. Yep. And it could be very true. Cool. There's a new theory that the voice she hears is the same voice that Wen-Wu heard in Shang-Chi. No spoilers for Shang-Chi, but if you've seen the movie, you know it. It could be the same kind of force, and it could tie into that post-credit scene. Again, I'm not going to give it away, but you know what I'm talking about. And then once I heard that, I was like, it might be onto something there. That's what I love about this phase, because we're starting from square one. You know what I mean? So many people, that's like the one thing is when people were kind of disappointed by WandaVision, and I was like, this is the first property in this new phase. I was like, we're starting at Iron Man 1 now. That's where we are. And I was like, the show gave us what it said, because it didn't give you what you wanted it to. That doesn't make it bad. I was like, we just have to garner our expectations for stuff. And the ending of that show was beautiful and some of the most heartbreaking shit in the MCU that we've ever seen. And I thought it was extremely well done. And again, it's just, that was the first thing we got. We've gotten so much Marvel shit this year. It's fucking insane. And it's only going to get more.
I know. It's ridiculous. I mean, we basically got our Iron Man origin story with Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
That is, I fully expect him to be a pivotal character moving forward in the Avengers. I can't wait to see him in a team-up film. He's freaking awesome.
Me too. He is amazing. I love that actor. I watched interviews of him. I was like, I like this guy. I wish I was friends with him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
He seems so
he's
cool.
like memeing on Twitter and stuff too. Like stock photo memes of himself.
Yeah, that's the perfect kind of person in that position. You know, you can't take things too serious. You know, and he's like, yeah, I did it. I got paid $100 for it. It is what it is. Like, can't hide from it. Like, they own those pictures. I can't do anything about it.
I got a question for you. What's your favorite MCU show so far?
Loki.
Same. Loki was a trip. That was a great show.
I have been ranking all the MCU properties, and I include the TV shows. Loki would be number 6 for me. Number 6. It wasn't.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that high. It was number 5, but Shang-Chi took that spot. That's how high Shang-Chi is for me, which is saying a lot. I would
say Shang-Chi is in my probably top 5 or 6.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty accurate.
Because Black Widow I liked. We have a whole episode about Black Widow talking about Black Widow. I thought it was a very solid MCU movie. It's in the middle of the pack for me, but that's a very stacked middle of the pack, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, so it's nothing shaking it. It's just it wasn't. You know, it was what I wanted it to be, and I enjoyed it a lot. So. It is what it is.
I enjoyed Black Widow. My only critique was it was very similar to Winter Soldier, which is it played well for it because Winter Soldier is one of my favorite MCU movies. Period.
Same.
So it wasn't a bad play for them to be like, let's take one of the most popular and then kind of like tweak it a little bit. But it wasn't groundbreaking. And I feel like at this point now it's like every single film should be kind of like reinventing the formula.
A little bit, yeah. I can feel that for sure. Because I mean, even like I said, WandaVision or the Falcon and the Winter, I feel like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier did a mostly a better job in taking that kind of feel and adding to it. There was some. Yes. I had a whole after show about Falcon and Winter Soldier. I had some pretty big gripes with it, but the highs outweighed the lows. So to me, it was still a win. And I think most of the lows were because of the pandemic and them having to change things. So it's almost not entirely their fault that they had to change a bunch of stuff that didn't end up landing in the end. But even that, I think, is above Black Widow. Not by much, but a little.
Like that show, honestly, I enjoyed it because I like more grounded, like spy, espionage, like that kind of storyline. I think that plays well in the MCU. I know some people may disagree with me, but U.S. Agent being introduced in that, like probably the best character that's been introduced in any of the shows so far, in my opinion, because of just like his story is insane.
Yeah,
like,
I can't wait to see more of him.
I know. What's the team that
Thunderbolts?
What's the team that he's on? Yeah, Thunderbolts. I want to see General Ross on that shit as Red Hulk,
dude. I did a podcast like 8 months ago. And it was before any of the Phase 4 stuff started coming out. And it was more of like a prediction to what Phase 4 could bring us. And I will say, I brought up the Thunderbolts. I brought up Kang. Because as soon as time travel started happening in Endgame, I was like, Kang's coming. They're fucking with time. He's coming. But he's here. Young Avengers, which is probably coming. So I mean, I think I'm going to be 3 for 3 pretty big here in the future.
I was going to say, you got any other predictions I should know about that I should prep myself for?
I did say Secret Wars, but Secret Wars, and now, I mean, I've been saying Secret Wars forever. I read the Jonathan Hickman version of it a few years back, and it's my favorite Marvel event comic book for sure. I do think that is coming, but I think that'll be the next Endgame in like 10 years or something, because that will be the end of the multiverse, because that's how it ends. The multiverse collapses and creates one universe pretty much. So there's a lot more groundwork to be done before that happens, but I think it's coming.
Yeah, and then we'll get a new TVA
or something. I don't know. We'll see where they go from there. But I want to talk a little Matrix Resurrections. All right, you cool with that?
Yes. Yeah, hell yeah, I am.
So before we get into the trailer, I want to know your Matrix background, because again, I've been talking about a lot of controversial stuff here in this episode, but it's a very hot topic of the Matrix, especially Reloaded and Revolutions. A lot of people hate those movies, and no shock here, Mr. Likes Everything. I don't mind them. I'm gonna do a proper rewatch here leading up to Matrix Resurrections. I want to be fresh and have everything, because I think it's going to include everything, this new movie. So I want to be really fresh on them. And watching that trailer, it's just like reignited my love for the Matrix. And I'm just like obsessively thinking about it all the time. And keep watching videos on like things that people think that could happen. And I'm like, oh fuck, that'd be crazy. Even though I think they're just gonna blow our fucking minds anyway. But what is your view on the original trilogy?
So the OG trilogy, first of all, the first one is a masterpiece that could stand alone.
Straight
up. It reminds me kind of like A New Hope. Like you don't need Empire or Return to enjoy that movie and for it to slap.
Fair.
Obviously, it's made better by the next two. The second one, I love the action and stuff in the second one. I thought like part 2 was a really good route. I was super excited for the third one, but I will say the third one, it was not my cup of tea comparatively to the first two.
Fair.
The freeway chase in part 2 is insanely dope with the twins, the albino twins chasing them, and like the Keymaster I thought was super cool. There is I think it's in the third one. There's a really cool fight where Neo fights all the agents in the courtyard and he's just beating them with that metal tetherball pole.
Yep. Nuts,
dude. So great fight scenes all across the board. I felt like the end, like, I don't know, it was kind of hard for them to like do justice about like what was happening in Zion at that point in time. I think it was like really CGI heavy, and you were just a little bit divested from that story comparatively to inside of the Matrix. But in part 1, that betrayal at the end from their guy who like snitches on them and goes back in the Matrix, like that is wild. I mean, that was hard. That was hard. And just like all of the, like cultural relevance of part 1, taking the red pill and like just this online world that people are immersed into and basically being a zombie. Like the overtones of the Matrix trilogy, incredible. Awesome story. I really liked the trilogy as a whole. But like I said, the third one, it just fell a little more flat for me. But those first two, I love them. Like I'll go back and watch Reloaded every once in a while. The first one, like I said, you can watch that whenever.
Yeah.
And I also played the game Into the Matrix, which was a blast.
I missed those.
Great.
I didn't play games in that time, and I see everyone posting about it. I'm like, dude, just please do a remaster so I can play it.
Yes, it was really fun, and getting to use bullet time and have like you're playing as side characters that get featured later in I think in part 2. But yeah, it's a really good time, and there's some really cool combat stuff, like combat mechanics that you don't really see in other games in those. So overall, my Matrix opinion is very favorable.
Cool.
So
very cool. Yeah. So then we get into the Matrix Resurrection trailer. You see Neo, he's older, which is confusing because we assume that he died. Same with Trinity, and she's alive somehow as well. We'll find out how, I guess. There is an interesting scene in that like split second, like kind of montage of scenes when he's before the snap in the very beginning when he's talking to Neil Patrick Harris. It seems like the machines are repairing his body from the third movie when he's all blind and all fucked up, and he sacrificed himself so that the machines and the humans could live in harmony. So it could be like a thing where they need to bring him back to kind of go back on their deal or something. And now Yahya Abdul-Mateen kind of looks like he's a young Morpheus, but everyone thinks it's a trick, that he's not really young Morpheus. He's actually a program from the machines trying to trick Neo into helping them. And there's the craziest theory I've seen is that the red pill he takes from Yahya is actually one that puts him into a deeper matrix. That's like a second matrix from the matrix he's in.
Oh my god!
And I'm like, just listening to these theories, I'm like, I was like, this movie is going to be insane. Like, just this trailer made this movie possibly my most anticipated for the rest of the year, and that's with Dune, with Spider-Man: No Way From Home, with Eternal still coming out, and I'm like, all those movies I'm very, very excited about. I actually ran a poll on the Twitter, and Spider-Man: No Way Home demolished the fucking poll. With Dune being a distant second, but Matrix might be my most anticipated, and not by much. I'm very excited for Dune. I'm trying to read Dune now. It's hard because it's like fucking 600 pages, and I'm on page like 70. But it's really cool.
I got a couple hundred pages into Dune, and I was like, I'm just so tired of all these made up words, and like, I'm just gonna watch the movie. Like, I thought the idea was cool, but like, I just could not stick with it. I was like, okay, Muad'Dib, like, I'm good on this.
Yeah.
Like,
the funniest part is all these crazy words, and the main character's name is fucking Paul.
Yeah.
You're like,
Paul of the House of Atreides.
You couldn't think of anything else that's crazier? You just had to go with
I will
Paul?
say, I got a lot of hope for Denis Villeneuve there. Like, he's a dope director.
He's amazing.
And I think the movie will be cinematically like a masterpiece. So I'm looking forward to it. But going back to Matrix for a second, the CGI already looks freaking awesome for it. Like,
crazy.
That's what like needed to be elevated in the third movie, because like the second movie I thought the CGI was on point, but then the third movie didn't make that leap like the first to the second did.
Right.
And so like I'm really excited to see that, and then I'm glad you brought up Yahya.
Yeah,
He's freaking awesome. He's great in Candyman. He's great in Lovecraft Country. He's great in the Watchmen HBO show. Like, I have yet to see him fail. So I'm very happy they picked him for Young Morpheus.
He's not in Lovecraft Country.
He's not in Lovecraft Country.
That's Jonathan Majors, Kang.
Oh shit! Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting those two mixed up. Yeah, Kang is in Lovecraft Country.
But no, he is amazing.
He is.
Yeah,
he is in Watchmen.
Yes.
And yeah, he's really good. I really liked him in Candyman as well. The DaCosta's Candyman. So good catch on that, by the way.
I got you.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, it is a little confusing that Trinity is back and Neo is back, but I'm intrigued.
We'll see.
I will say, and I thought it was cool how they did the trailer rollout, where like depending on what time you like checked it out, it would tell you like in the trailer or whatever. It was kind of like an interactive thing. So
yeah, and apparently
it's gonna next gen.
Apparently the teasers showed almost completely different footage than the actual trailer did too. Mostly.
Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I noticed that because I did watch the teaser before the actual trailer dropped, and it was a lot of different stuff. I'm interested to see like what the fighting choreography is gonna look like with almost 10 years of distance between the last one, and then you've obviously got Keanu, who is much more of a talented fight choreographer. I guess he's not making the
stunt guy
choreography up, but like he's much better at fighting now, just in general. I mean, all this stuff with John Wick, and I'm sure some of the tracking for Cyberpunk. So I'm very excited to see kind of like the level up. I'm expecting big things out of this because they shouldn't remake it, or they shouldn't make another one unless it's going to like really change the series.
Exactly. And guess who's doing the fight choreography? Same guy who did John Wick, Chad Stahelski. So I have no doubt that the fight choreography is going to be insane.
Yes, I'm hyped for it.
Dude, it's crazy because pre-pandemic we were supposed to get John Wick and Matrix 4 in the same weekend, which I think they would have.
Oh my god!
I think they would have moved eventually because obviously it's dumb to do.
Keanu versus Keanu. Keanu wins.
Yeah. No one loses in that one. Besides, I guess Keanu would technically lose and win. But we have John Wick 4 down the pipeline sometime next year too, which is exciting. But yeah, I'm amped for this fucking Matrix movie. I can't wait to rewatch the trilogy beforehand. Actually, me and a group of my friends, we did a rewatch of the Fast movies before Fast 9 because
oh shoot,
why not? Well, mostly we watched the first 4 in a day, and then I finished the rest of them the week before.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a fucking blast. This one's obviously much easier. We have 3 movies and the Animatrix, if you count that too, which is canon, so you should count it. So we'll probably watch those, but that'll be a much easier watch than watching 8 movies. Actually, I think I skipped one of them. I think I skipped F5. That's one of the best.
Oh, that's my favorite one.
It's one of the best ones. I think it was mostly because I couldn't. I think it's my number 2. I think my number 1's F7, mostly because of the ending, the Paul Walker ending. Gets me.
With the road split.
Gets me every time.
Dude, I actually haven't seen Fast 9, but I do like the Fast and Furious movies, so it's on the list.
It's honestly speaking from, I don't know why I'm critically reviewing a Fast movie, but I think it's because I watched all of them. It's not really critical. I think it's critical in regards to the Fast movies. There are just some parts that The Rock not being in it, I really felt that, and things like that. But it was still good. It was fucking fun. It's ridiculous, as they should be.
Of course. I mean, like, I hear that they might be bringing the Transformers into the next one, or potentially Jurassic Park.
I kind of hope that's not true, but
I mean, honestly, at this point, throw the kitchen sink at it.
I guess we'll see what happens.
I'll be waiting with bated breath.
All right, so we're gonna take a little pause here, and I'm going to talk by myself as Chrissy's used the bathroom. little bathroom break here. But yes, everyone, please in the comments or tweet at us and let us know. Are you looking forward to the Matrix Resurrections? What is your feelings on the trilogy? I know a lot of people are big fans of Reloaded Revolutions. Like I said, I am a fan. They do not own up to the first one, of course. Nothing. And maybe this one will. I don't think this one will be as revolutionary as the first one, but I definitely do think it can add some value to the second and third movies and kind of revitalize the franchise, which a lot of reboots have been doing. Cobra Kai did it with Karate Kid, and we'll see Candyman, even another reboot that added more to the lore. And this seems to be the popular thing nowadays. Everyone's bringing back old stuff. There's a Lost Boys reboot happening, apparently, which I don't know. A lot of people seem very mad about that, but I'm okay with it if it's good. I was talking about
I'm glad you mentioned my jam, Cobra Kai.
Oh, you're a Cobra Kai guy?
Love Cobra Kai, bro. Yes. More so than the Karate Kid movies, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. I feel like they're way better, even though the first one's kind of a classic at this point. But
yeah.
But, dude, that series... I was late to the game, kind of like most of us were. One of the podcasts I listen to all the time, he has been spouting Cobra Kai love since it was a YouTube original.
Dude, I'm so happy that Netflix picked it up, man.
Same.
It's fantastic. It's one of their best shows.
Dude, we get 2 seasons in a year this year. That's fucking crazy.
I love that.
I'm like, yes, cool. I don't care. Yes, give me all of it. Like, I run the show forever. As long as they put out the same quality they have, all for it. Reboots can be done well. I understand people are being mad about them and saying, "Oh, we should create new original stuff," but they can be done well. It's obvious, Like I said, I haven't seen Candyman yet. I need to see it, but everyone has been saying very good stuff about it. So obviously that works.
I thought it was fantastic. Personally, I saw the original. I liked the original. I thought the original was good, but I definitely think this is in like a higher caliber, to be honest.
I love that. I love all the people acting in it, and I've heard it's amazing. And I grew up on horror movies like that when I was a kid, watching it with my mom. Mm-hmm. Like I watched a lot of Stephen King and like Candyman, and Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that. So I want to see it. It's just we haven't had time. My wife, she's a manager at a Hot Topic, and she commutes an hour. And we were both really sick this week, so we didn't do shit other than when we weren't working, we were watching like Death Note or My Hero on the couch.
I need to catch up on My Hero, man. Are you watching the new season?
Yeah, we're trying to catch up on the new season, but it's been very sick, very tight, very good.
Yeah, I'm pretty far behind on that show, but I love it. Like I think it's such a fun watch.
It is a great fucking show, and the new season is very, very good. I'm stoked to keep watching more of it. But we got sucked in Death Note, and we've been watching that too, which is a cool show too. It's very different for anime, I would say. It's a different vibe than normal, kind of like the Dragon Ball Z's and stuff of that nature. But it's cool.
I unfortunately watched the movie on Netflix before I actually ventured into the anime, which is a terrible decision.
And I used to think that movie wasn't that bad until fully
until you actually watch the OG content.
Yeah, until fully watching it, I was like, man, the movie was nothing like this. What the fuck did they do?
Yeah. All my friends are like, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch this. I don't watch a ton of anime, but I do try to make it a point to watch the stuff that a lot of people are like, this is excellent. So.
Fair, yeah. We recently got into it a few years ago. We started with My Hero. I was an avid DBZ guy when I was a kid, and Sailor Moon and Pokemon and stuff like that. But I didn't get into anything other than those. And then we got into My Hero, and then we started watching Naruto and Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, and it just keeps snowballing. I've watched so many, or we've started so many.
There's so much.
And dude, I have watched a good amount, but there's some of my friends that have watched like 4 times as much as me, with ones of names I've never heard of, and I'm like, good for you, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it, but you do it, so good for you. But I mean, I also watch a lot of other stuff, so that's probably why I spend time watching other stuff. So I guess it all adds up somewhere, some way, shape, or form. I don't know, but I want to talk about Venom Let There Be Carnage. The first screening happened in the UK. We got some fan reactions and some critic reactions. But what'd you feel on the first one? I know.
So I liked the first one, but I didn't love it. And that was kind of a bummer for me because Venom is such a great character, and he's got so much, like, he's like one of these heroes that in the 90s and 2000s I feel like has really been like getting some momentum. I think people really are like, he's becoming, not as popular as say like Batman or Spider-Man, but like he's moving up the tier list,
Oh yeah.
And I liked Tom Hardy, and it was promising. Like, I thought that the movie looked like it had a lot of potential. I saw it. The humor, like, I kind of wish Sony would like divorce themselves from trying to, play into that Marvel kind of like comedic style and would just go a little bit more serious. But I thought the CGI of Venom was cool, but then like when he fought the other symbiote at the end, you had no idea what the hell was going on, which was a pretty big bummer because that was like the payoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of my thoughts. I'm kind of middle of the road on it. I'm not a huge hater. Like, I know a lot of people out there are like, I hate Venom. That movie sucks. Like, I would never watch it again. It's no Iron Man 3 for me. It's no Thor Dark World for me.
Hey,
like,
I will not take any Iron Man 3 slander on this podcast.
I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. That's one I feel like I gotta go back and rewatch that because I talk a lot of shit on that movie, but I feel like I've only seen it I think I've seen it 1.5 times.
I swear to you, all these movies you think are terrible MCU movies, you go back and rewatch them, and you're like, that movie was not that bad at all. What the fuck was I thinking?
Okay, all right. I just went back and watched Dark World. That movie,
it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
It's just like a whole Natalie Portman plot about her getting the Aether stuck inside her.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm like, I want to see more medieval fighting. So take me back to whatever the Nether realm was that you were just waging war at.
Fair.
But anyways, like, again, still not bad movies though.
No.
Like, they're not the best Marvel movies,
no.
But still not bad. And that's kind of how I feel like Venom is
for
me. Like, that's not a movie that I would be like in pain having to watch it.
No, I feel almost exactly the same. I was very excited about it. I love Venom so much. It's like one of my favorite characters. And like I wish I could share this bookshelf. The whole bottom thing is Carnage and Venom and Spider-Man. I have the first my friend, I was the best man at his wedding. He was the best man of mine. He gifted me the first appearance of Carnage comic book when I was his best man.
Ooh.
And I have it up there with a bunch of Carnage pops and Venom pops and everything like that. Like, I love these characters, so I've been very much anticipating this one. But for the first one, I was very excited about it. I love Tom Hardy. He's a great fucking actor. So I was like, oh, this could be really fucking cool. And I kind of watched the same thing. Except the humor, I don't mind. Because I know you said you're not like a big comic guy, but Venom is fucking weird. He's like a weird character. Eddie Brock, the whole thing is weird. So I love how they really amp that up. When people say that, I get about just as mad as when people say Spider-Man Homecoming is a Tony Stark movie when he's in the movie the same amount of time as Happy Hogan is. And I'm like, he's in the movie for 7 minutes. No, you're wrong. Please stop saying it's an Iron Man movie because it's not. But that's a whole nother conversation as well. But when people are like, "Oh, it doesn't make any sense that the Venom movie is like weird and funny." I was like, "No, it does. Like, he is a weird fucking character. He's very weird. Like this, I was like, that vibe was very Venom to me, at least." But the end fight, God, bad, so bad. Like it's just a clusterfuck of CGI. They completely waste Riz Ahmed, which is a crime because that dude is
great,
incredible. He's incredible. So them wasting him sucked too. But the movie was fine to me. It was fine. It was good. Like you said, if I had to rewatch it, I wouldn't be like, oh god, I want to rewatch this movie. But Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, I loved the whole relationship with him and Venom. That hit for me. So I was like, okay, if this movie does well, which obviously it did very fucking well, I will be stoked for future incarnations of it. So they do the post-credit scenes. It has Woody Harrelson as Carnage. I'm like, oh, Woody Harrelson's awesome. He can make a really good Cletus Cassidy. Other than that dumbass wig he had on, which they've obviously gotten rid of, which is a
thank God
very smart move. But I don't know why they gave a Ronald McDonald wig. Beyond me, but whatever. I kind of tried to overlook it. I was like, oh, Woody Harrelson's awesome. He could play a psycho. He's played a psycho before. This could work. This has a lot of potential. So when this movie first started coming out, the trailers look awesome. The CGI looks amazing. Andy Serkis stepping up to direct, who's the CGI mocap fucking god. So I was like,
dude,
okay.
Andy Serkis directing. I was like, what?
I was like,
you got Gollum in this bitch?
Exactly. I was like, sign me up. I was like, fuck yeah, this is good. And I know some people are still skeptical, and they have a right to be. That's fair. The PG-13 thing came out. People were all pissed. And I'm like, guys, it doesn't matter. You know what PG-13 means? They can't show a lot of blood, and they can't say fuck. They can say fuck like once, I think, or something. So who really cares? I was like, in the trailer, you see Carnage shoving his symbiote inside another human being. I was like, you're telling me that's not brutal? Like, come on. Yeah. In the first one, you saw Venom ripping heads off fucking people the whole movie. Like, it's gonna be fine. It's fine. Everything doesn't need to be rated R. Like Suicide Squad, that need to be rated R.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. Like, we'll see how this movie does. It's like a weird pandemic kind of thing, but as Shang-Chi has proven, if it's theatrical exclusive, it can do very well. That movie's going to be the number one movie this summer. It's already on track. Yeah. It's doing insanely well, as it should, but that's also because of word of mouth. So these first reactions came in, which honestly are insanely positive. A lot of them are fans, which, you can take with a grain of salt and everything like that. They're probably stoked they got a first look screening, because in the UK, I don't even think it comes out till the 15th there, like it was originally supposed to for us. So they have to wait even longer. Like, those people are waiting a month after these first reactions. We only have to wait a few weeks. So even that's a little more rough for them than us. So it's like, maybe they're just so excited they got to see this. But comicbookmovie.com, not comicbook.com, they're still another pretty credible source for the most part. They're usually not ones to, placate to certain things like, we got this covered, or some other trash site like that. Even they said some really, I'm just going to read through some of these. I guess before I get to this, another thing people were skeptical, including me, is that there is a 90-minute runtime. And I was like, oh, that's not a long time. But after these reactions, it kind of makes me feel better about it, because it seems like the movie just kind of flies in a good way. So, yeah, I'll read through a few of them. So, absolutely buzzing from this film. It was so good. It was honestly so amazing to be able to see a month early. Not really much. The biggest. This is from Ren Geekness. I think this guy was actually verified or had like a few thousand viewers, so he might be someone in the UK kind of critic reviewer world. But he said the biggest strength of Venom with the Cars is frantic pacing and exhilarating action, matching the kinetic energy of Tom Hardy has with himself. Woody Harrelson is relishing as Cletus/Carnage and is perfect for this role. Oh my God, stay for the credits. And I have heard the credits are fucking crazy. And I know if you're trying to stay away from it, as I am, be careful what you click on the internet. I would not go into your Discover page if you like a lot of nerd stuff on your Instagram. I would watch out on some of the YouTube channels. A lot of YouTube channels are very spoilery and weird. I tend to block on my YouTube channel because I don't want to open my page just watching something normally I watch and I see something stupid. There was one, they do like fake trailers and they actually spoiled the Evan Peters thing for me for WandaVision like a week early, which I was like, fuck you. And I ended up blocking them, which is, it's fine. It's whatever. It didn't ruin it for me. I was still like, oh, this is sick, but I could have gone without seeing that. So beware of the spoilers out there because they are definitely fucking out there.
I hear it's a big one too. Like I hear it's a huge thing in the credits. I don't know what it is.
Me either.
But I know where my mind goes.
Yes.
And I won't say.
I have an idea. But
yeah.
even that idea doesn't fully explain what. It's a very general idea. I'm sure you were thinking the same thing. But
yeah.
I'm going to skip this one because I might lean into that one, actually. Just saw Venom with Carnage. You have to see it. And I got to meet the totally lovely Andy Serkis, and we saw Tom Hardy. Thank you, Sony Figures. Another kind of general one. Venom with Carnage is a frenzy mix of buddy movie, romance, Venom loves Eddie, and horror. It wastes no time in getting down to business and not relent. Hardy is on fire, and Harrelson is Carnage. Do not miss the credits. Right there. That's what I want to hear. That's what I want. Like, a Venom and Carnage movie should just be nonstop action, crazy fucking shit the whole time. So if that's what it is, sick. I am down for that. I feel like what they said, I think comicbookmovie.com called it the ultimate Marvel movie. Just pretty high praise considering what we've gotten this year alone, you know.
I'll say I'm very intrigued. Honestly, the biggest thing is I know Woody Harrelson's an incredible actor.
Right.
I mean, his role in True Detective has got to be one of the best roles I've seen in years. Like he's perfect. Him and McConaughey are awesome in that. You know, but I cannot wait to see him as Cletus Cassidy. Same. I want him to go ape shit and just kill everything in his path like Carnage do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. And like you said, the CGI looks so much better. I love all the daggers. Like, that's one of my big things. Carnage, I didn't get into this earlier, but Carnage is actually my favorite supervillain, period.
Hell yeah.
Like, he's my favorite villain. I love him. I think he's so cool. Spider-Man is, I would say, probably my favorite hero outside of maybe some of the X-Men.
Okay.
So, like, I adore Carnage. I'm not super versed in a lot of his comics, but one of the ones that I did read was the, I think it was Absolute Carnage when I was a kid, where he has, like, I'm probably going to get the names wrong. Like Shriek, I think is one. It's the female like Carnage symbiote. Maybe it's like
Scream.
Yeah. And then he had Doppelganger fighting with him, and like he has this whole death squad. And then Morbius, the vampire, shows up at one point, and like Spider-Man's just like going through the city, and like there's just bloodshed everywhere, and he's like, I literally can't stop these people, and they're just killing everyone and everything.
Yep. And I guess that's another thing with Tom Holland too, that a lot of people are like, oh, I really want to see him like mix it up with Venom and Carnage. And I do think that will happen eventually. But I know a lot of people are like, oh, I wish we would get the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because we haven't really got it, which I'll argue because Homecoming is him being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. It's like all takes place in New York. But again, besides the point. But I think all this crazy stuff he's dealing with, you know, with Infinity War and Endgame, going to space, and then is going to deal with these multiversal ramifications of whatever that ends up being in No Way Home. I think it's going to add to the fact is when he's finally older, and then he becomes like the full-on friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and then he has to deal with all this crazy shit like Kraven the Hunter and Venom and Carnage, and all of those kind of makes sense because he's an actual adult rather than, you know, a teenager fighting these people. Because I feel like that's a little too much. A little too much. I feel like they're building to it, and we will get there. We just need some time.
I can't wait. I can't wait for the Sinister Six. Honestly, if I had my way, Spider-Man would be cranking out. They'd have a new movie every year, and they would all be like single villain stories in New York City, and then also have that punctuated with him being in the Avengers. But obviously, the whole Sony MCU kind of give and take is ongoing. So maybe this will one step closer. Right, incremental victories.
Exactly. I do think we will get there. I think everything will be under the MCU umbrella. Even old properties, which we're kind of seeing in No Way Home, and which we might see with some Fox things. in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness that have been teased. I've had this running theory that everything's going to be MCU canon, like everything, because now that they own almost everything besides Spider-Man. But I think Sony knows now that like taking him out of the MCU is a dumb idea. At least I hope so, because I want to see Tom Holland continue in the MCU. It seems like he'll play Spider-Man for the rest of his life if they let him, which I kind of hope they do. Because the older Peter Parker stuff, when he's struggling and can barely pay his rent and can't deal with his relationships because he's being Spider-Man, I would love to see that explored in a film or a series or something like that. So I guess
and then we can also have, we can have Miles Morales come in and still play the younger guy. We have these options. So like, let's get some character progression. Let's see an old man Peter Parker.
Yeah.
Old man, like, mid-30s Peter Parker.
mid-20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even Miles. Like, I feel like Miles should still wait a while because you can't have just two teenagers. Like, how is he going to be the mentor when he's still a kid? Like
exactly.
These things need to build. I feel like people are so used to instant gratification they can't let stuff. It's like people are forgetting what made them fall in love with how Infinity War and Endgame worked. It's like we needed 10 years for those things to work. Like things aren't just going to automatically happen. Like it can't work that way, or else we're not going to get moments like that. None of this will make sense. So I think people are more realizing that the more as we go. But I like to say it and put it out there just in case people forget. Because I mean, I'm human. I'm guilty of that stuff too. But at least with the MCU, I take what they give me, and I usually enjoy it for the most part. For me at least.
I'm hyped. I'll leave it at that. I'm hyped for the movie. I'm excited. Carnage is my jam. Even if the movie's not that great, just having Carnage on the big screen is going to be sick.
Yeah. Like even the transformation you saw in the trailer looks like fucking gross and insane. So I'm stoked to see what they give us in a few weeks here. 100%. So going into more MCU, Hawkeye released their first trailer for the series coming out November 24th in a very Christmas themed trailer. That was
so Christmassy.
So Christmas. Very Shane Black, which is dope. And this is another thing that had people divided. Not as much as the other things, but people either loved it or they're like, I'm not really feeling it. A lot of people surprised that they loved it because I know a lot of people hate Hawkeye for whatever fucking reason they hate Hawkeye for. I still don't understand why people hate Hawkeye.
We were talking about this in our group chat.
Yeah, I was like, why do people hate Hawkeye? I was like, why do people hate him?
Hawkeye in the first Avengers is nothing but badass.
Yeah. Hawkeye in Age of Ultron is the man.
Yeah, and honestly, Hawkeye could have put Thor down like Old Yeller in that first Thor film. So,
I mean,
don't get too uppity.
We saw it happen in What If.
We did see it happen. So, I mean, well, yeah. Sort of.
I mean, it wasn't his fault, but he definitely could have killed him. That is what you're saying, and it's true.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love Hawkeye. Like, I love the grounded, more realistic heroes. Not to take anything away from anybody with crazy superpowers, but I love the idea of, like, hell, even Agent Coulson. Like, you just got these people out there doing their duty, trying to save the world, trying to do what's right for humanity. They don't have superpowers. They're doing the best they can, and they're still an asset. Same with ScarJo as Black Widow. I mean, throw some respect on the powerless Avengers here. Come on,
they're just like us.
Love. Yeah,
except they're trained assassins. So not really like us, but they're human.
Hawkeye literally never misses.
Yeah. And dude, this is I know I'm sure you've heard everyone saying this. This show is already showing signs of being very heavily influenced by the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run, down to the fucking logo is straight up from the comic. There was a lot of really cool moments in this trailer. The Tracksuit Mafia, or Tracksuit Zombies, or Tracksuit Draculas, as he calls them in the comics. The scene with the car and them going through the arrows, that's straight from the comics. Lucky the Pizza Dog, also from the comics, which I'm very excited to see another Marvel pet added to the awesome roster that we already have. And I'm very stoked for it. As soon as they had that logo, I went, and people were like, oh, Matt Fraction. I went out and bought the first two trades and read them. I've only read half of the run, but it's awesome. It's definitely very different because he like had a relationship with Black Widow, I believe, and there's like a whole thing about him and this girl who have like a thing, and she ends up being like the spy, which obviously is not going to happen in the series because he's married and has a family, which is a very different dynamic. But then we have also the dynamic of the Ronin stuff that's coming back from Endgame, and then Echo, who's going to come in, who ends up becoming Ronin or was a past Ronin. I can't really remember with that, but she's also deaf. Well, it seems like Clint might have some hearing problems because you can see the hearing aid in one of the shots. But I'm very stoked on the series. Like you said, I do love the grounded. Someone posted a meme like a couple months ago, and it's like Marvel Phase 4 has these two moods, and it was Steve in the hat, which indicates the ultimate spy disguise, which is just a baseball hat, and then Doctor Strange floating in the multiverse of Doctor Strange. We're gonna get we're gonna get the crazy multiverse shit, and then we're gonna get the grounded spy stuff, which I'm here for. I'm down for it. Like you said, Winter Soldier is one of my favorite MCU movies as well. So if we get more in that vein, cool. And I love the multiverse shit. I love all this timeline. I could give a college thesis dissertation on branch timelines and the way the multiverse works in the MCU. I fully believe. People literally ask me about it. It's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, because even we watched the season finale. I changed a lot. I'm sorry, but like even when we watched the finale of Loki, I actually watched the last 3 by myself, and then I told my wife, I was like, okay, you need to watch these because it has to do a lot with the future. And I'm about to put the finale on. I'm like, you're gonna need me to explain this ending to you. And she's like, oh, okay, whatever. And then it ends. She's like, okay, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, yeah, for people who like aren't super crazy nerds, I can see that being the most confusing piece of Marvel that's ever been released.
Yeah, well, the finale had its own questions, but like I remember earlier on when they went to that like Walmart knockoff and like that super hurricane in Alabama, and they bombed the timeline, and I was freaking out. I was like, that is insane. Like my co-host at the Geek Peak were like, nah, whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? They just bombed the freaking timeline. Dude.
I was
no
freaking out.
What the implications are.
But then they just fixed it.
Then they just fixed it, yeah.
I was like, what the fuck happened? And I was like, I guess they fixed it. But they ended up breaking it way worse later, so that's fine. But I know you said you're a big fan of Hawkeye. Are you stoked for the series? It seems like you're pretty stoked for the series.
I'm looking forward to it. I will say, like the trailer, there was nothing in the trailer outside of the quick clips from Ronin, which I think Ronin is so cool. I think Ronin is such a badass character, and I love that's the direction that Clint went after the snap.
Yeah,
he's just like, fuck the rules. I'm going to literally murder as many criminals as I can. Yeah. Like, I love that. I think that's awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would take a show just about Ronin killing bad guys, a la Punisher style.
That'd be sick.
But I will say this: my expectations are kind of middle of the road on this.
Fair.
Nothing in the trailer really jumped out to me that was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see this. But I will say that, like, so far, I don't think any of the Marvel TV shows have missed, and I really love Hawkeye, so I'm looking forward to it. And I think that the new chick that they're bringing in, Haley Steinfeld, I think her name is.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do, because it seems about that time for someone to pass the gauntlet from Hawkeye. We got a new Black Widow. We're gonna have a lot of like younger characters coming in that are gonna be setting up the Young Avengers. So I am looking forward to that. I want to know if Florence Pugh's character from the Black Widow is going to come into play on this, and will she try to kill Clint?
Seems so.
And will that be the conclusion of the show? Will she kill him? That's what I'm intrigued to see.
A part of me wants me to see that happen. To take such a big swing to kill one of the OG6 in a Disney Plus series.
I know.
I just think he's going to end up
throwing shit.
Yes. But I think he's just going to end up retiring. Because they can easily fix the Florence Pugh thing unless she just comes out balls to the wall and just kills him. Or maybe she like puts him in a coma or something. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. But it's kind of an easy conversation for them to be like, hey, it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
You know, but we'll see how that goes. I'm very interested. I did love that a post-credit scene from a movie directly set up something that's going to happen in a series, showing like, hey, these motherfucking things are important. Other than Loki obviously setting up the whole multiverse colliding thing, which is
setting up potentially the big bad for Phase 4. I don't know though. Quick tangent. Do you think Kang is going to be the big bad for Phase 4, or do you think he'll be kind of a 1 or 2 movie arc and then he'll be done and then they'll have somebody else?
I think he'll be like a Loki, where he's never going to go away, but he'll be kind of the secondary. I do think Doom is going to be the next like Thanos. That's my call. Especially if they're going to go with Secret Wars. God Doom is a force to be reckoned with. He rips Thanos' spine out of his body. So if that explains anything to you of how powerful God Doom is,
that would be awesome.
And that's my big want, is if they take anything directly from that comic, because they don't really do that. They'll do cool little nods, but the story is very much adapted from multiple realms of different comics and their own new twist on it, which I love. It's like a different comic run in itself, the MCU is. But if they do Secret Wars and the next time we see Thanos in live action is him showing up in Battleworld and Doom just kills him in a fucking second, the crowd would fucking lose their mind. But we'll see. It's a hope of mine. But I'm sure you've seen the
panel for the head.
Literally. Skull, like, it's crazy. It's nuts. So we'll see. I mean, that's a fair assumption. It didn't really show you a lot. It was just like, hey, it's gonna be a Christmas vibe. Hawkeye's doing shit. I will say Haley Steinfeld, I think, is a perfect casting for Kate Bishop. She's very snarky and sassy and annoying at times. So I think she'll nail it. And I'm very excited, especially when her and Florence or Yelena get together and possibly become friendly. Them interacting with each other, especially after seeing Black Widow, is going to be amazing. it's going to be.
Yeah, I have high hopes for that. I have high hopes for the Young Avengers because you got Elijah Bradley from the Falcon Winter Soldier, and then maybe Kid Loki. Let's get some Kid Loki in here.
Yeah, Wicked and Speed from WandaVision.
Yeah, that'd be so sick.
Cassie Lang, Miss Marvel is coming
up. That's another one that, like, I don't think I have any expectations for Hawkeye or Miss Marvel because I don't really know enough about what's going to happen to like build myself up. I think they're both going to be good. I just don't really know what's coming. But one that I do have very high hopes for because I've read literally one comic about it and it's got Oscar Isaac is Moon Knight. I cannot wait for Moon Knight.
I cannot wait for that series.
It's gonna be so dope. I can't wait. That's one that I'm very hyped for that one. I would say that's probably right behind Spider-Man for me, and then probably Eternals after that. For MCU stuff coming out.
Yeah, Secret Wars is really up there for me too. I think that's gonna be very good, and it's kind of hard to not put Multiverse of Madness because I think it's gonna be. I think No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness are gonna be the craziest MCU movies we've seen yet. Like crazier than Endgame. Like as far as like scope and what they do. Like I think they're going to be absolutely batshit crazy, and it's going to be a big swing. And I think it's going to hit with most people, but I can see this kind of crazy thing they're going. You can probably lose people, but they have to take stuff in a different direction, or they're never going to. They have to grow. They have to expand shit, or it's just going to be the same shit over again. They have proven they're not doing the same shit over again. Like every property has felt completely different from each other, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially I thought Dennis Villanueva's comments about Marvel being very formulaic was so odd for him to come out and say that after Shang-Chi came out because that movie is so different than every other thing that Marvel's put out.
Yep.
And it's have you seen the newest one? Obviously you can't just say, oh, have you seen the newest one? Your opinion is completely invalid. I get what he's saying. Some of it is a little formulaic.
Yeah.
But that being said, it's evolving currently. You look at the TV shows, you compare those to the past couple movies prior to Endgame, they're completely different.
Completely different. And another thing is hey, Denis, Marvel movies are the reason you can put your movies in theaters. So, maybe don't say shit like that. can have your own opinion. Like Martin Scorsese said shit too, whatever. Like, I don't really like. I kind of hate that those things become stories. He also kind of gave credit. He didn't kind of. He gave credit to Chloe Zhao and stuff, as he should, for doing a Marvel movie.
I'm excited. And, I'm very excited to see her take on Eternals. I think that movie's gonna be beautiful.
Me too. I feel like that movie's gonna give us something really special that we're not even expecting, and I'm very excited for it. It's just a lot of the news cycle of stuff I feel like shouldn't be news, but it is.
Yeah.
Even the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit. Like, I get it. People want to talk about it, but it's a millionaire arguing with a billionaire company. Like, who cares, really?
Yeah.
She'll end
I'm
up
way more interested in the content than I am about any of the ancillary, office politics.
She'll get her money, and then we'll forget about it. Just how everyone forgot about how Warner Brothers pissed every fucking creator off by making everything day and date, and then people forget about that and then complain about, why do we have to pay $30 on Disney Plus? And apparently the $30 on Disney Plus isn't enough because Scarlett Johansson is still suing for whatever reason. I don't know. Like, that movie's made over $400 million in the box office. Like, is that like a crazy smash hit for Marvel? Like, no, it's kind of in the middle of the road as most of them. But like, is that a lot of fucking money? Yeah. And it just went on digital, and when it went on PVOD, it was number 1 and 2. I think it was like number 1 on iTunes and like number 1 on Amazon the first week it was out. It's like, this movie's making fucking money. Like, there's no way around it. The movie's making money, and if it needs to be restructured where she needs to get a bigger cut of Disney Plus stuff, then just do it. Like, you're $1 billion company, just fucking do it. Like, I don't know. I'm the same with you.
Play the long game.
Yeah, I'd rather hear the content or consume the content than worry about some people, dick fighting over money that they both have, loads upon loads of. Yeah, I'm like, if she's owed money, pay her the fucking money. But again, millionaire, $1 billion company. Like, come on, like, whatever, who cares? But I do want to round out this show in what if talk. We've been doing breakdowns lately and other things, but I kind of want to just have more conversations because you can find way better breakdowns on like Nerdist or New Rockstars or anything like that. They have whole teams that break things down and comb through things and can do a way better job than me. So these 2 episodes have kind of been talked about. It's the What If Zombies and What If Killmonger Save Tony Stark episodes. A lot of people have been talking about these as their favorites. Now, one of them is my favorite of the series so far. The other one is probably one of my least favorites, and that's not even degrading it. I just don't think it hit as much for me as it did for other people, which I've heard the same about the one that I think is my favorite. So
I'm interested to hear which one is which.
So my favorite was the What If Zombies, personally.
Yes, dude. Yes, you're speaking my language right now. Let's go.
I love zombie stuff. I love The Walking Dead.
Same here.
Even currently, I still watch The Walking Dead. I know some people are like, why do you want to watch The Walking Dead? Who watches The Walking Dead? Well, apparently a lot of people, because they're on their 9th season and people still watch it, and they have like 4 spin-off shows, and it's like one of the most popular TV shows there is. So a lot of people watch The Walking Dead just because you fell off at the same point I did years ago, but then I picked up, and it really picks up after there's a lull in seasons 4 and 5. Yeah. I will agree, but after season 6, it's just balls to the wall for the rest of it, and maybe I had a different experience because I binged all of it, maybe. So there's no like gaps between seasons, and I know that can be a really big problem with certain shows because it's harder when you're not watching it all at one time. Because I did the same thing with Game of Thrones. I was like, the last season wasn't amazing, but I didn't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen. I've seen much worse seasons of TV, but I also binged all of it. I didn't have to wait 2 years for a disappointing season, so that could also be part of it. But The Walking Dead is fucking incredible, and people who left off, you're missing some of the best parts of The Walking Dead. And those 2 lame seasons kind of needed to happen to set up the rest of them, which sucks to say, but it's true. It's just.
I gotta throw this out. So I'm one of those people that's like, who the fuck is watching The Walking Dead? I've definitely posted that on our Geek Peak Twitter because I fell off in those lull seasons. Like. I think his name was Ezekiel, and he had the tiger and shit, and I was like following that, and I was like, this is kind of interesting, but then I couldn't stick with it, and I after your commendation, October's coming up, I love zombies. I will always love zombies. One of my top 5 favorite movies ever and top 5 horror movies ever is Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
Ooh, okay.
Produced by James Gunn.
Yes.
To absolute G's. And so I'm a huge zombie guy. Now, like I had said previously, I did read a lot of comics, but I did read the Marvel Zombies run. That is one that I read.
Guess who wrote those?
Who?
The guy who wrote The Walking Dead.
Robert Kirkman?
Yeah. He wrote at least...
Holy shit.
I think he's involved in most of the runs, I'm pretty sure. I know he's involved in at least one of them.
I love that. I mean, like, those comics are sick. Like, they... when Silver Surfer comes to Earth, I was like, oh my God, dude. And then Galactus comes to Earth and he gets fucking killed. I was like, dude, can anybody stop these zombies?
Apparently not.
The answer is no.
No. I guess Vision.
Yeah. Vision. Wow. Yeah, so getting right into it. I thought that overall, like, I thought it was a perfect timing of when Bruce gets teleported back at the beginning of Endgame or Infinity War. I loved how that set the stage for the zombies and the children of Thanos just get immediately butchered and eaten alive. I was like, oh my God. And like, I thought the workaround that they did with Hank Pym being able to shrink, and that's really how a lot of the most powerful people became infected. Yeah. I thought that was really, really cool and like a really clever way to, like, it's like, how the hell are you going to get Iron Man, for example?
Right.
It's like, well, it'll go inside your suit.
Yep. Yeah, I love this episode. Kind of piggybacking off what you were saying, it was very cool. There was a ton of surprises in the episode that I did not see coming of people who were going to be in it and everything like that. There's like such a sentimental lines from Spider-Man, from T'Challa, and especially kind of skipping forward to the end a little bit. I mean, even like the WandaVision callback reversal with Vision.
Oh my God,
Wanda, like, dude, what the fuck? And then you kind of just think it's going to end with them reversing everything and saving the day. And they just end on what I made the thumbnail image of zombie Thanos with fucking almost all the stones in Scotland trapped in Wakanda. And I'm like, yo. Like, after the series, I was like, give me a whole series of what if zombies. A whole series.
Yes.
I want
literally, though. Like, I will watch start to finish a Marvel Zombie TV show, live action or animated.
Yeah.
You do live action, I'm going to lose my shit.
That's the rumor.
I'm just telling you right now.
I don't know.
That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah, I don't know what credibility there is to it, because there's a rumor Mark Millar said something about it, and I don't really know why he would know anything about it. He's got like a really big deal with Netflix currently, and unless they are like, hey, will you write a novelization of it or something? But I don't really think they would need to do that for him. I don't know. But if any of that is remotely true, I am so fucking down for them to take a swing at Marvel Zombies live action. That would be so sick.
I mean, yeah, once the Multiverse of Madness happens, it's like you can literally do anything.
Yeah. Like, there's anything.
There's no boundaries. So, I'll watch, Throg, God of Thunder, too.
Fuck yeah.
I'm all in on that.
I love how this episode was like really brutal. Like they like a lot of it was like Walking Dead vibes. I can see some people thinking it might have been a little too campy, but I feel like they did a good mixture of the seriousness and the comedy at once. Like,
dude, yeah,
Hope,
like Happy dying.
Yeah, Hope exploding fucking Sharon. I was like, whoa! I was like,
I could not believe they did that.
And then Okoye, who is also in The Walking Dead, or the actress that plays her is in The Walking Dead. Yeah. So seeing her chop up zombies was very dope, especially for me.
So cool.
I was like, fuck yeah. I was like, you're used to that shit, so it makes sense. in a different world. But like, even, like Falcon coming in, and even the team who was alive with Kurt and Sharon and Happy and Bucky, like I would not have guessed that would be the team left.
That's a ragtag band.
Yeah. I saw some this dude Zach in my Discord was actually talking about how he was disappointed that we didn't get like a full Spider-Man Supreme with him like wielding magic and stuff, and I was like, They never said we were going to get that. I was like, yeah, it'd be cool. But I was like, all the toys said Zombie Hunter Spider-Man, And I loved how we got, Scott Lang as a floating head from like Futurama.
Very Futurama-esque. Very Futurama-esque. I wanted a zombie Nick Fury. I'm not going to lie to you.
Ooh.
That would have been pretty sweet.
That would have been.
Zombie Fury would have been awesome.
I did see some really awesome fan-made art of a live-action version of Paul Rudd in the tube with the cloak. And I was like, yo, that's awesome. Like, it was super sick. I love that somebody did that. And it was heartbreaking, the stuff with Hope and her sacrificing herself, and then Scott having to see her be a zombie after, and the kind of relationship Hope had with Peter was really cool. I just love that episode, man. I thought it was great, and I definitely think they're gonna revisit the zombie thing in season 2. But they also, in the mid-season trailer, you see Thor with evil Doctor Strange saying, "Ooh, zombies" or something like that. So I'm wondering if they're gonna come back at the end of the season, maybe somehow. I don't know.
What if?
What if is right. I have. It's not even like a theory, because on the original poster they released, there is Ultron in Vision's body with the Infinity Stones in his suit on the poster. And I do think the season's going to end with like a multiversal team up with them facing that version of Ultron. And there's even a toy with Killmonger who has like an Ultron head in his hand. And there was footage of Black Widow taking out some Ultron bots and stuff like that in the mid-season trailer. So I do think the season's going to end and stuff like that. But there's still a lot of cliffhangers they can build off of for the next season, because they've already confirmed there's going to be a season 2, because Sharon Carter is supposedly going to be the main character of season 2 somehow. I guess we'll see. And there's been. I don't know.
I was just gonna say, like, I feel like you can totally piggyback off of the episodes that have already happened, because every single episode has basically been a cliffhanger where it's like, oh, what happens further down the line? Like, I want to know what happens with Star-Lord T'Challa, like that whole dynamic. Like, Peter Quill is now an evil Celestial. Like,
yeah,
I'm here for it.
Yeah,
like, I'm here for it.
We're all living in darkest timelines in this What If universe. I mean, there's a universe where there's legit no Avengers. It's just Captain Marvel and I think Captain America, because it seemed like Captain America never came off ice in that universe. So I'm sure they'll play with that. I don't really know. Like, I'm just excited to see how they end this. We only got 3 episodes left. Yeah, it's only 9 episodes, so we got 7, 8, and 9 left. And I think they said Chadwick Boseman was in 4 total, so we've seen him in 3. So I'm guessing we'll see him in 1 more. Then, if that's correct, it could be incorrect and we might get more. But I figured it would be the same T'Challa, but it's all been different ones, which has been cool. I like that. I like that we've seen that.
Yeah.
They just
him getting his leg cut off to feed Wanda was like, holy shit, dude.
Rough, dude.
My king.
Yeah. Ugh. That episode was awesome. Now, getting on to the next episode, which I didn't dislike this episode. I'm just saying it's my least favorite, because after the T'Challa one, which was very strong, and after the zombies one and the Doctor Strange one, which I thought the Doctor Strange one is a close second for me, because that one was just dark.
Doctor Strange was excellent.
So dark.
Yeah.
And I did not expecting it going down that road, but we went there. And kind of all of these, even the Avengers Murder Spree episode, I was like, damn, what the fuck? And this episode had a lot of the same, because Killmonger they should have just called it Killmonger Kills Everyone, because that's what this episode was. But to me, it was, because I know a lot of people's big complaint about the Captain Carter one was that it was basically, a scene for scene redo of Captain America, just with Peggy as the antagonist rather than Steve, which I get it, but I thought it was fun. I thought that the introduction of Captain Carter was really cool. Not saying that episode was mind blowing or anything, but I didn't hate it.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a strong start to the series.
And this one was kind of the same thing. It was a mix of Iron Man 1 and Black Panther kind of switched together, pretty much, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, and that's why it was down on my list, I think, because it was still very entertaining. It was cool to see Michael B. Jordan in the role again, even though it was animated. And that dude is just fucking ruthless. Fucking killed everyone.
I want him back in the MCU so badly. Like, Michael B. Jordan is a gem of an actor.
I agree.
And he did such justice to Killmonger. Got to be one of the top Marvel villains, period, in my opinion.
For sure.
And in this one, I actually was a little bit thrown for a loop because I definitely did not think Killmonger was going to be evil again. I thought he was going to end up being a good guy because he's working with Tony Stark. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, maybe he'll get the Iron Man suit. No, he fucking kills everybody.
Yeah. That part definitely took me by surprise. And he just dupes Wakanda, which is, I like that reverse on it because, you know, he just kind of came in and took over in the first one. But this one, he tricks them. You know, he tricks, he's like, oh yeah, I actually am the reason this invasion is happening, but hey, I'll help you stop it. And I'm really here for, you know, Wakanda forever. And definitely, I know they couldn't have done this on purpose because I know animation takes forever and they already had the voices in for this and everything, unless they maybe changed some stuff around to kind of pull your heartstrings more. But all of the T'Challa stuff that he's been saying and stuff, it's like, man, this could not hit harder. You know, them saying for T'Challa and the whole astral plane scene was very well done, and his line in the zombie episode, which was a retread in his line from Civil War, but still, like, just the placement of it and him saying it, you're just like, damn, dude. Stop! This is a cartoon, man.
That astral plane scene, man. That, like, when he's talking with him at the end. And I love how, like, you know, we get one more scene after with Shuri and Pepper Potts. Yeah, you know, like they're chatting about what their next move is going to be. But that was like such a poignant like conclusion to that episode. He's like, whether it's, you know, on your plane or on this plane, like, you will get justice.
Yeah,
and it's like, damn, like, what's going to happen? I definitely want to know, you know, what's going on with that.
Yeah, because obviously Shuri, even though she's, you know, like 11 years old in this or whatever, or however young she is, mad young, she's already onto his shit. You know, she's already that smart that she's already onto his bullshit. So
she's like, miss me with that.
Yeah, like, nah, I got you, you fucking piece of shit. You know, kills our boy Don Cheadle. Maybe he'll get an Emmy nomination for this performance in this one as well.
Dude. I saw a meme where it was like, how many times are we going to have to watch Tony Stark die and what?
True. I think what's worse is how many times we've seen Vision die this year. I think it's like 4 times now or something. It's been a lot.
They love to just keep killing the same characters over and over again.
It's rough. It's rough.
Also, were you thrown for a loop when he murdered T'Challa?
Yes. I was like,
oh, way.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, he's just unconscious. He's just unconscious.
Nope, dead.
And then it shows the hand, and I was like,
yeah,
my king.
Again, what if Killmonger kills everyone? That's the episode. That's what this was. He killed everyone. Besides Obadiah Stane, but I think he got arrested. So same thing, I guess.
Yeah.
He didn't blow up in a fiery blaze. He's just going to be in prison for the rest of his life, I guess. But, dude.
Yeah, I think I'm with you though. You know, like I enjoyed this one for what it was, but it's definitely on the lower end of all the episodes. And part of that I think is just like, I don't know, Killmonger being a villain again wasn't, you know, super groundbreaking. So he's just a different kind of villain.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of a retread of things we've already seen, just in a different way, which is cool. It's just, I feel like if they don't wrap this up in some kind of conclusion that wraps everything together, I'm going to be a little disappointed with the series. It's been fun, and it's been more than I thought it was going to be. But that one trailer that came out, I think right before the season came out, it was like during Loki. It was like really hype up that this was coming out, and I think it had the announced date with it and everything. That was the one where I was like, oh, this is going to play into some stuff in the future, I think. And I think some of it will. I have a theory, because I know a lot of people, after the Doctor Strange episode, which came out right after the No Way Home trailer, they're like, oh, is this evil Doctor Strange the one in the trailer? And I'm like, maybe. But I think more so the setup that there could be 2 visions of Doctor Strange in the same universe. And one might not be for the best of intentions as the real one would. And there's more evidence to that, where the director of Shang-Chi. Someone asked him about Doctor Strange, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's definitely a reason he's been missing from certain properties, and that will be explained later. And I wish he could have been in our movie because it's pretty evident that Wong shows up in Doctor Strange, in Shang-Chi, but Doctor Strange is nowhere to be found. Again, I don't want to spoil any more for Shang-Chi than that, but people should know that Wong is in it by now. He's in the trailers. He's in multiple trailers, and I do think we'll find out more about Doctor Strange, but
Doctor Strange Mephisto confirmed in No Way Home.
Yes, I'm playing Doctor Strange as Mephisto. Actually,
early take. Mephisto confirmed.
I don't think it's Mephisto. I love making that joke though because I did a WandaVision after show, and Mephisto was a very big hot topic, of course, during that, which it was for everyone, I assume. But I think just like WandaVision, if they introduce Mephisto in that, I think it would be a little force-fed and be a little weird. But I do think there's something up with that Doctor Strange. There's something definitely going on. And I'm sure we'll find out more about it in that movie or Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. One of the two.
It's Mystique.
Fuck. It's just Jennifer Lawrence. It's like the worst Mystique. And it's actually just Jennifer Lawrence. That'd be fucked up. Nothing against Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's an incredible actress, but she really phoned it home for that last movie. I think almost everyone did besides Michael Fassbender. That movie was very.
You talk about Dark Phoenix?
Yeah, that movie's really bad, but
that movie's the worst.
A report came out that that Jessica Chastain didn't even know the name of her character until the movie came out. Well, apparently she's like a shape-shifting thing. It seemed like the movie was very much like Captain Marvel, and then Captain Marvel came out, and they had to change a bunch of shit, or they got news of what was happening in Captain Marvel, or something like that. I don't fucking know. I heard reports of that, like a bunch of podcasts were covering that, but there's like a big train scene, shape-shifting aliens, this really overpowered hero that's trying to be suppressed by someone. Sound very similar.
The only thing that I want when they do introduce mutants into the MCU is, please, for the love of God, don't give me another Dark Phoenix storyline, please.
Here's my theory in that. I think they're doing their version of Dark Phoenix with Wanda.
That's fine. Like, I'm completely cool with that.
Yeah,
they're doing a good job with her. I want her to be a villain. I think that she would make a great villain.
I think she's going to be the antagonist of one of the antagonists for Doctor Strange 2, for sure.
Yeah.
Much in the way in WandaVision, where she wasn't really the bad guy, but she was doing bad things to get what she wants. She's not going to be an overt mustache twirling villain. She's going to be doing bad shit in order to get what she wants, which there's the difference. And
I got to speak for my two co-hosts here, because their biggest complaint for the finale of WandaVision was like, who was it? Someone walked up. I think it was Nova. I think that's her name. She walked up and was like, they don't know what you did for them or something. And it's like, yeah, you kept them enslaved for a couple months inside this fucked up vortex, and now you're being forgiven because you're a superhero. Cool. Have a good life.
Oh, Spectrum. Tiana Paris.
Spectrum, not Nova. Sorry. Yeah. And like, I feel like it cheapened it a little bit, because it's like, okay, Wanda, you were doing bad. Like, you were a bad person.
I think it was more of that she saw it from her perspective, and she even explained it. She's like, "Hey, I lost too, and I would have done the same thing if I had the option." And they're kind of overlooking the things you've done for them in the past for something they did in the future, which I agree that doesn't make it right. But Monica also had a skewed view of the situation as well. So it's kind of like two unreliable narrators narrating to each other. So I feel like it doesn't take away from it. It just kind of shows that she is sympathetic with her. But I get that criticism. That's totally fair. A lot of people, that's like the biggest criticism of the MCU is they like to skirt over their actions or stuff, which I don't totally agree with, because that's kind of the crutch, like the crutch of how the Avengers broke up, is that Tony was finally like, oh, we need to own up for the bad shit we did, not just take credit for the good shit we did. And, you know, a lot of people are like, well, Tony was wrong for doing that. And I'm like, well, yeah, Cap was a shitty friend. So, you know, I'm Team Iron Man in Civil War. They were both wrong. And that's why they broke up.
Yeah.
But I would be on team, because if I was in that position, I would understand, like, hey, we fucked up. We probably need some ground rules. Not total control. It's probably not the best option, which is why Tony is wrong. But then him
cycling order or absolute chaos. Take your pick.
You know, you got to have some middle ground, which I guess could have been resolved if they were on the same page, which they obviously were not. But also, Cap lying about his best friend killing his other best friend's parents is really fucked up. And if I had a friend who did that, I would be very pissed at him as well.
Well, Wanda, I mean, they go hard in the paint on her when what's his name, like Crossbones or whatever. She saves that market or bazaar or whatever from the bomb, and then blows it. Like, they're like, "Fuck you, Wanda, you suck, you're evil as shit." And then like now she like actually possesses a whole town and like basically makes them into meat puppets for God knows how long, and everyone's like, "Nah, it's pretty chillin', you're good." Like, it's all good. It's like, that is way worse.
Again, I don't think everyone is like that. I think just Monica is like that, because there's a reason. There's a reason why she's in a fucking cabin reading the fucking Devil's Handbook by herself, and not hanging out with her Avengers buddies that are left. She didn't call up fucking Bucky and Sam and be like, "Hey, can I come crash at your place?" They'd be like, "No."
Can I go hang out on the shrimp boat?
Yeah, they're like, "No, you abducted a town with your mind." So no, you can't. But awesome, man. This is a lot of fun. I'm glad you came on. This is great.
Yeah, thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast, and we're gonna have to reconvene and talk about what if once it's wrapped up, and also definitely Carnage.
Oh yes, 1,000%. We will have more conversations, whether it be your show or mine. More will happen in the future. It's good to know I can just call on you in a day's notice and be like, "Yo, you want to come on?" Because that makes it cool for me. Because, like I said, scheduling is a pain in the ass, and usually people who don't do this kind of thing don't understand that, and they're like, "Yeah, can I come on in like a Monday at 11 in the morning?" And I'm like, "No."
It's like, I have a life outside of doing this podcast.
Probably not. But sure. So again, thank you so much for doing this. Is there anything you want to plug other than plug your podcast, but anything else other than that? I will be putting links in the below where you can listen to the Geek Peak Pod.
Yeah. So Geek Peak Pod, Instagram and Twitter at Geek Peak Pod, and then our website's geekpeakpod.com. We're on all podcasting platforms, so check us out. We like to have a good time on our show. But outside of that, our upcoming horror movie podcast that I mentioned is called High on Horror. It's H on H Pod. That's on Instagram and Twitter. And that'll be dropping here at the end of September. And we'll be dropping weekly episodes. And it's all horror-centric. It's kind of a super group that we put together with some other podcasters that we just really enjoyed making shows together. So definitely check it out. And thank you again for having me on. It's been a blast.
Oh, man. No problem. I love talking nerd stuff with other like-minded people. And like you said, we kind of hit the same chord with each other when we ended up connecting on Twitter. So I knew this would be a good time. So I hit you up.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's like I said, kindred spirits.
Yes, exactly. You put it in better words than I did. I've been talking about multiverses and alternate realities for 2 hours, so my brain is probably fried at this point. But awesome. Again, if you want to support the podcast, follow us on social media, like and subscribe, do all that dumb shit that everyone says, but just do it because it's free and it helps me. And until next time, see you later, nerds.